Well, hello you gorgeous mother truckers, and welcome to another video. Right then, so Nigel WAS got a lot of flack recently when what's his name, Robinson, the twat who tried to interview him, I can't remember it. Nick Robinson tried to ambush him and make him look stupid on telly because they're scared, and got a lot of flack because he turned around and said that it was the West that instigated the war in the Ukraine. And as much as it might annoy a lot of people, he's absolutely right. In fact, they've been trying to drag us into a war in the Ukraine for many, many, many years. There are plenty of videos of which I'm looking for, because I have seen them, you know, back 20 years ago. But he got, oh no, you're all wrong, you know, and then Boris Johnson, you know, that complete buffoon that completely screwed the country over, and then quite rightfully lost his job to a piece of cake because he's a dickhead. No, he is. You may think he's wonderful, but he didn't do anything at all. In fact, he increased migration. More migrants come over while he was on his watch than any other prime minister. So, in any case, he came out and said, "Oh, he's a buffoon, and you know, he's this, that, and the other. He's a Putin apologist." Well, it's amazing how you don't. As soon as you mention something, it's the standard, isn't it? Oh, I'm against the war in Ukraine. Oh, you're a Putin apologist. Well, no, I'm not. What's happened, and what is continued to happen, isn't right. But we kept poking it with a stick. And Boris said, oh, no, he shouldn't be saying stuff like that. And then, of course, Nigel does an absolutely fantastic thing. And pops up a thing where Boris was saying it was the EU that was pushing for a war in the Ukraine, and we want to stop doing that. So, just to prove another point that Nigel is right, let's bring up this article. And as you can see, from 10 years ago, in Ukraine, the US is dragging us towards a war with Russia. Washington's role in the Ukraine and its backing for these regimes, neo-Nazis, remember the neo-Nazis 10 years ago, now you got to love them, but they're neo-Nazis, has huge implications for the rest of the world. And this was written on Tuesday the 13th of May 2014 at 8:30 British summertime. Why do we tolerate the threat of another world war in our name? Question. And come on then, I want answers in the comments. Why do we allow lies that justify the risk? Come on then. Remember 10 years ago, just before these papers all suck Zelensky's. Yeah. That's, in any case, the scale of our indoctrination, wrote Harold Pinter, is a brilliant and even wittily highly successful act of hypnosis, as if the truth never happened even while it was happening. And that's with everything. But it's okay. People like me, nothing but conspiracy theorists. People like Nigel WAS talking out the backsides, yeah? 10 years ago, remember, every year the American history historian William Plum publishes his updated summary of the record of US foreign policy, which shows that since 1945 the US has tried to overthrow more than 50 governments, many of them democratically elected, grossly interfered in the elections of 30 countries, bombed the civilian populations of 30 countries, used chemical and biological weapons, and attempted to assassinate foreign leaders. But no, it's the defenders of the free. In many cases, Britain has been a collaborator, as we have. The degree of human suffering, let alone criminality, is little acknowledged in the West because it's convenient not to. Despite the presence of the world's most advanced communications, normally most free journalists. Well, there's no free journalism. Well, there is here. Well, kind of, because you do get censors. The most numerous victims of terrorism, our terrorism, are Muslims, is unsayable. Extreme jihadism, which led to 9/11, okay, was nurtured as a weapon of Anglo-American policy. Operation Cyclone in Afghanistan is suppressed. In April, the US State Department noted that following NATO's campaign in 2011, Libya has become the terrorist safe haven. Remembering that before we went and screwed over Libya and got rid of Colonel Gaddafi for whatever reasons, but the simple truth is, when Gaddafi was in charge, we didn't have any boats coming over. And it was fairly stable over there. Just think about that. I mean, you're not going to acknowledge that. You're going to think I'm an idiot, but it's true. Just have a look. Instead of me doing all the research for you, go and have a look yourself. This took 30 seconds to find. It's not hard to find stuff. And if I've broken this down into a series of shorts, the link will be in the description. Don't go, well, but I don't know what you're on about. Well, it's because it's a short and you just click on the link and it brings you to this video, and then maybe you can understand. But of course, we live in a world where everybody expects somebody else to do all the work for them. So I'm doing some work for you. This is here to give you options. These are my opinions. Okay, it doesn't matter whether you like them or not, because I don't care. I'm not asking you to agree with me or not agree with me. That's up to you. And so far, a fair few, over 3,000 of you, no, at the moment, now it's 3,800 of you, do. And for that, I'm eternally grateful. And it also shows that we are growing in population where we got people who actually do go, I wonder if. And look, I do these things to open your eyes, to open the door. Once I've opened the door, it's up to you whether or not you want to walk through it or not. I'm not going to take you through that door. I'm just going to open it for you and let you go and do your own things, and then you make your own opinions. Yeah, this is mine. Yeah, you can agree with it, but I'm opening the doors. I open doors on stuff. That's what I do. I open the doors and leave it for you to walk through, and you can see. Sometimes I've opened doors, looked and gone, whoa, that's a big rabbit hole. But once that door's open, that's your choice. And that's all I'm doing. That's all I'm doing. The name of our enemy has changed over the years from communism to Islamism. Oh, I can't speak today. It's like 20 odd. What's the temperature? It's 27 degrees in the shed at the moment. And my mouth's dry. But generally, it's a society independent of Western power and occupying strategical, useful, and resource-rich territory, or merely offering an alternative to the US domination. And it says here, the leaders of obstructive nations are usually violently shoved aside, such as Democrats Mohamed Mossadegh in Iran, Arbezens in Guatemala, Salvador Andali in Chile, or they're murdered, like Patrice Lumumba in the Democratic Republic of Congo. All are subjected to Western media campaigns of vilification. Think Fidel Castro, Hugo Chavez, and now Vladimir Putin sits back, gets popcorn, waits for the apologist. It's not me writing this. I'm just reading it. Just going to read this bit here. I'm going to highlight it because it's quite important. Washington's role in the Ukraine is different only in its implications to the rest of us. For the first time since the Reagan years, the US is threatening to take the world to war. This was 10 years ago, when Nigel was saying the same thing. The thing that I've been warning about now for over 2 years falls on deaf ears as usual. Putin apologist, you say, not a realist who can see what's coming. With Eastern Europe and the Balkans now military outposts of NATO, the last buffer state bordering Russia, Ukraine, is being torn apart by fascist forces unleashed by the US and the EU. We're in the West, and we are now backing neo-Nazis in a country where Ukrainian Nazis backed Hitler. 10 years ago. Now they're the greatest people on the planet. Okay? Again, this is what your media will do to you. When it suits them, they'll tell you the truth. When it doesn't, they'll lie to you. This isn't a lie because this is easily backed up. That statement there is so easily proven. Just look for your history books. Remember, I'm opening the door. Having masterminded a coup in February against a democratically elected government in Kyiv, Washington's planned seize of Russia's historic, legitimate warm water naval base in Crimea failed. The Russians defended themselves as they have done against every threat of invasion from the West for almost a century. But NATO's military encirclement has accelerated along with the US-orchestrated attacks on ethnic Russians in the Ukraine. If Putin can be provoked into coming to their aid, his preordained pariah role will be justify a NATO-run guerrilla war that is likely to spill into Russia itself. 10 years ago. 10 years ago. You were being warned 10 years ago this was going to happen. And yeah, you all are, with your Ukrainian flags sitting in your profiles, or you this, or well, whatever. Yeah, let's have them all over here. We started this on purpose. just like everything else that goes on in the world, everything is done on purpose and for a reason. Now, this is the bit that needs to get highlighted as well, because this is the bit that Boris screwed over. Instead, Putin has confounded the war party by seeking an accommodation with Washington and the EU, by withdrawing Russian troops from the Ukrainian border and urging ethnic Russians in eastern Ukraine to abandon the weekend's provocational referendum. These Russian-speaking and bilingual people, a third of Ukraine's population, have long sought a democratic federation that reflects the country's ethnic diversity, is both autonomous from Kiev and independent of Moscow. Most are neither separatists nor rebels, as the Western media calls them, but citizens who just want to live securely in their own homeland. Sound familiar? Putin was having a chat with Zelensky, and Boris went over and told Zelensky, don't do it, we'll back you all the way, we need our forever war, and by the way, we're going to pay you fucking billions, of which no record will ever be made, and you'll just be really rich. It doesn't matter if people die, fuck them. These scumbags, these workers, we don't need them. We don't need them anymore. We don't need them anymore. Just carry on. I'm just going to pick them. I'm not going to read the whole article because it's quite long. It's quite long. So there you go. I mean, this is The Guardian. I mean, it's a paper I absolutely despise. But this was from 10 years ago, and this is them telling you that. And we're playing along with it, and the French and everybody else, because we need this war in Europe. Why do we need a war in Europe? Because we're all getting bankrupt, and the only time throughout history when our countries have been facing bankruptcy, the only way we get out of bankruptcy is, that's right, millions of people have to die for no fucking reason. In this case, Hitler and German domination in World War II, which should have finished it all off, but they found out that there's a lot of money to be made in war, so let's just keep one going. Not been many years where there hasn't been a war in this world. But there you go, 10 years ago. So, to Boris Johnson, Nigel Farage is disgusting for saying that. 1, you said it yourself. 2, you went over and told Zelensky not to accept the peace deal. 2 simple, truthful facts. So sit down and shut up, you stupid-haired buffoon. 2, Nick Robinson and the media. What Nigel is saying is what you lot was saying 10 years ago. 10 years ago, the Ukrainian people were full of neo-Nazis. 10 years ago, this would be a really bad idea. 10 years ago, all of you were singing from a different hymn sheet. So sit down, shut the fuck up. Because, I'm sorry, you got like other people, we should start getting in the government. We should start really getting involved, and directly attacking Russia. Look, to try and put this into simple terms for the dumb. The next war will be fought with nuclear weapons. We are not going to win as a humanity. Millions of us are going to die. For what? Just let that sink in, because you don't seem to understand. You're all there waving your Ukrainian flags. I mean, there's an advert with one that where someone's sitting with a Ukrainian. What are you doing? Why are you so brainwashed and stupid not to realise where this is heading? The US have just passed a law to allow drafting. They're talking about national service, which is a draft. They're now talking, in another video I'm about to do in a bit, which you'll see soon, is the British Army want to recall all us reservists back. They're setting themselves up and preparing themselves for World War III. And you going, yeah, Ukraine, oh, it's terrible, oh, you Putin apologist. You know what? I'll be honest, if it wasn't for the fact that you had Putin in charge now, and you had some of the old Russian leaders, we'd all be fucking dead now. None of this shit would be happening. be a nuclear, we'll be playing fucking Fallout for real. No one wins this war. Okay? No one. It may start off conventional, but it won't stay conventional for very long, because somebody somewhere, and I would imagine it'll be the Americans or the Russians, one of or the other, will go, fuck this, hit that button, and that's it. Once it starts, it's over. And all the rich will go in their bunkers, and we all die, or turn into mutants, or God knows what else. And then they all come up, happy as Larry. Watch the TV series Fallout. Being serious now, the last episode, when they explain that corporations, why they do it, because they don't care, and I don't know how it's not sinking in, they don't care about us. We're expendable. We are the carbon that they want to get rid of the most. So don't go, Putin apologies, oh, Nigel fraud, yeah, because you're idiots. You are idiots who will believe anything that you are told because that's okay. Sometimes, I think I'm going to be sitting here and then I'll be midstream and it'll all go dead. And that'll be the EMP burst of the first weapon that gets released over the country. And then, I'll be honest, being a bit selfish here, I live in the middle between Birmingham International Airport and Birmingham City Centre. I know full well that there's 2 nuclear warheads aimed at each of those. So I'm just going to get really, really hot and have a great suntan for a millionth of a second and I'll be gone. At least I ain't going to suffer. You've got to... I don't understand it. You can see the building blocks being put, the jigsaw puzzles being stuck together to show that we're heading towards a war. And as I've said in my many videos, we'll either be reduced to rubble by a civil war or a nuclear war. Either one, we don't fucking win anything. Thousands, millions of people die for nothing. And all this will be pointless. Any case, enough of that. Until the next one.
This once great nation, eroded by time, with its crushed by